بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد المجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد المجيد. Today, inshallah, we're going to talk about the first portion of the book of Shaykh al-Fawzan. So last time we discussed the introduction of the book, and today, inshallah, we're going to talk about item number 1 that he mentions in the book. He starts by saying, when the buying and selling keeps one preoccupied from performing worship, meaning that they take away from the time of worship, such as when a person is busy buying and selling and holds back from praying in congregation in the masjid to the point that he misses part of it, this is forbidden. So the Shaykh is talking in here about the first thing which can make business as a whole haram. And he is saying if business or transactions will keep the Muslim away from being able to worship, and he is specifically mentioning the salah in congregation. This is a very interesting thing because most Muslims these days are not capable of thinking of praying 5 times a day at the masjid. And we're not talking about them being capable of playing right now, but many of them have given up to ever thinking of ever praying in the masjid 5 times a day. And as a Muslim entrepreneur, where you have your own time, where you have your own customers, where you have your own place that you can choose to sell and buy, and you have the ability to be next to a masjid, this is particular to them, where basically they are capable of achieving this, but they don't do that. And he mentions the ayahs from Surah Al-Jum'ah, ayahs 9 and 10, where he says, "O you who believe, when the prayer is called for on the day of Jum'ah, then rush to the remembrance of Allah and leave off the trading. That is better for you if you did but know. So when the prayer is finished, then spread throughout the land and seek from Allah's bounty and remember Allah much in order that you may be successful." And then he mentions the other ayah in Surah Al-Munafiqun, ayah 9, where he says, "O you who believe, do not let your wealth or children divert you from the remembrance of Allah. And whoever does that, then such are the losers." So, and he mentions that you should take note of Allah saying, such are the losers. He basically rules upon them that they are losers, even though they are wealthy, even though they have a lot of money, and even though they may have many children. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at the material side if a person is leaving their deen because of their wealth, because of their children, and they divert him away. So this is because their wealth and their children cannot replace what they missed out on form from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even if they gained a profit, even if they earned income during that portion of time that they were supposed to spend for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are still losers. And then he mentions more ayahs in here. He says, so seek provision from Allah and worship Him alone. And so when the prayer is finished, then spread throughout the land and see from Allah's bounty. Therefore, he says, commerce comes in 2 types: the commerce of the worldly life and the commerce of the hereafter. The commerce of this life is with wealth and with earnings, while the commerce of the next life is with righteous actions. Then brings the ayah, the other ayah from Surah As-Saf, ayah 10 through 13, where he says, "O you who believe, shall I not direct you to a trade that will save you from a painful punishment? Believe in Allah and His Messenger, and strive hard and fight in the cause of Allah with your wealth and your lives. That will be better for you if you but knew. If you do so, he will forgive you your sins, admit you into the gardens under which the rivers flow, and pleasant dwellings in the gardens of paradise. That this is indeed the great success, and he will also give you another blessing which you will love, help from Allah and a near victory. So give glad tidings to the believers. So he says that this is the immense commerce which is profitable. So if the permissible commerce of this worldly life is attached to it, it becomes good upon good. But if a person limits his commerce to solely that of this worldly life while abandoning the commerce of the hereafter, he becomes a loser. And then he mentions that the other ayah from Surah Taha, and he says, and command your family with prayer and be patient in offering them. We're not asking you to provide us with sustenance, rizq. Rather, we will provide for you, and the good end is for those who have taqwa. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in here that Allah will provide you, but he commands you that you should command your family with prayer and be patient in offering salah. So the Shaykh then says, so the prayer which some people claim takes time away from them seeking after the rizq, from buying and selling, is in fact the opposite of what they claim. It actually opens the doors for provision, comfort, and blessing. So this is a very important point, what the Shaykh is mentioning in here, right? So this is the common excuse that people will make. Like this is not just for commerce. This is also for school. This is for job. But we don't have time. Like if we go 30 minutes to the masjid, or if we go 20 minutes to the masjid, or if we leave the office and this and that, if we everybody's trying to shorten all of their salah and the prayers and all of that, and they think that time that they are not spending in prayer, that Allah has legislated, that time will actually like be productive for them. But the ayah tells us the other side, which is not actually true. That time will actually open the doors for provision, comfort, and rizq. And it will also put barakah in the rest of the time, because your time may not have barakah the remainder of the time. Therefore, you must pray and you must have taqwa as Allah commands. And then he mentions the final ayah for this portion, where he says, in houses, masjid, which Allah has ordered to be raised, in which his name is mentioned. He is glorified therein during the mornings and the evenings. They are men whom neither business nor commerce diverts them away from the remembrance of Allah, nor from performing the prayer or giving the zakah. They fear a day when the hearts and the eyes will be overturned out of fear of horrors of the Day of Judgment. SubhanAllah, this is a powerful ayah, right? Especially this portion where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they are men whom neither business nor commerce diverts them away from the remembrance of Allah, nor from performing the prayer or giving the zakah. And the Shaykh mentions in here that in explanation of this ayah, some of the Salaf said the Sahaba, would buy and sell. But when one of them heard the muaddin calling to prayer, the scale was still at, if the scale was still at his hand, he would drop the scale and head out to the prayer. So subhanAllah, this is very important, because these days, as we have mentioned before, people will push the salah to be the last thing. They have a meeting, they have anything to attend, they will complete all of those activities, and they will just leave the salah for the last thing. And the Shaykh closes this chapter with, so as stated before, the point is that if buying and selling preoccupies you from performing your prayer, then this commerce is forbidden and futile, and the money earned from it it is haram and filthy. And the Sheikh closes this, Rahimullah, may Allah have mercy on the Sheikh. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.